What's up, fellow lords of gaming? Welcome back to the channel. So we're jumping in today, taking a look at Crimson Desert patch 1.08. This update's not a huge story patch. It's not a massive combat overhaul. It's more kind of a quality of life patch. Perlibis is trying to clean up some systems. They're adding some new useful features, and they're making it a little bit more convenient to play. The big additions in this patch are the new tool slot, the new pawn system, the baby Wyvern pet, and some of the new additional pet and mounts options that they've added. Cliff is getting access to muskets and shotguns, and then the reblockade locations have also been expanded as well. There's also some improvements to the map, some controls, graphics, and combats, but that's a long story short. Please stick around and let's get into some of these with a little more detail. First major change is obviously the new tool slot. That's the thing I think everyone's going to be talking about. This is probably the most useful change in a patch for everyday type of gameplay, because this update, some tools were taking up the secondary weapon slot, so you had to scroll through those. That was really annoying because I had to scroll through my weapons and my my tools. Now the tools have their own dedicated slot, so that means all of your logging axes, your shovel pickaxes, and your chainsaws and stuff like that, they're not going to mess up your weapon setup. You can just hot swap to those really quickly. It's not the biggest of changes to the game overall, but I think it's probably going to be one of those most impactful in terms of keeping you immersed and moving through gameplay more than anything. So check out the quick slot menu, move your tools into the new tool slot, and then you'll basically see those things inside there. I think this is a good step towards the future. I would like to see them maybe do something like Lara's tool bag inside Black Desert Online. Instead of those things taking up inventory space, they just kind of take up one slot because they're in the bags, but we'll see where they go from it. This is a good update for the future. The next big feature is obviously going to be the new pawn system. So pawns can now be built at Howling Hill or Pyloon Camp after you complete the pawn construction mission. Access this simply by going over to Ross, the dispatch manager, and you'll see a gray main tab there, and you have to send out 8 of your friends to basically go build this pawn. Once you build the pawn, you can then place fish from your inventory directly into it. So then you can manage the fish. This gives fishing a better purpose. Instead of just catching fish and selling them, you can now keep them at your camp. So the big thing with this one as well is that legendary fish are going to be handled differently. So they will stay in your pond and they do not disappear at all because of either lifespan or population limits. So the fish that you put, they will have population limits inside the game, meaning that if you put 2 fish of any one type inside the game, so let's say rice fish, there will be a max capacity for that pond for how many fish will be in there. You'll need to fish them out so that way you can use them from recipes and stuff, and then you can store them in your cuckoo cooler, but you're going to want to pull those out. Legendary fish do not follow this. They will stay in your pond at all times. So that's really good. The legendary fish that you have sold, used, or discarded for whatever reason, those are going to be restored in your inventory if you had them. So this is a good change because I think it helps out all the players who accidentally used their fish, didn't understand what that was for. Outside of this, we've got a new pet. The baby Wyvern joins us, and it can be registered as a pet. And then with him, there are 20 other small animal species that can also be registered as pets. I think some of the ones that people are most excited about, like the red pandas and so forth. But the baby Wyvern is an important one because Perlibis is saying that they are going to be able to grow and become a mount in future updates. So we've got a Pal World Pokemon situation in the world with pets right now. We'll see how that bears out, because I'm imagining if they figure this out for the Wyvern and you're able to then mount, grow your Wyvern as a pet, you're gonna probably end up having the same thing for other things like hogs and boar or whatever the hell else you can ride inside this game. They've made everything mountable and everything a pet, so we'll have to see where they go. I think that this is like a nice little addition. I was really happy with the hawk, but I think people will be happy with having this baby Wyvern following them around, especially knowing that it can grow as well. Good direction overall for the game. I'm not mad about it. Like when they added in the Iron Eagle, I was happy plenty enough. And then we got the special mounts, and now we have the baby Wyvern. Like cool. I get to have a pet that gets to grow up with me and becomes a mount. That's pretty cool. This patch also allows the Wyverns to be temporarily used as mounts. You can't register them. but you can get on a Wyvern in certain areas, and you can ride those. It's temporary, but it's there. So if like you were having fun with your dragon and then you decided like, hey, I need something that is more accessible, you have your Wyvern. So pets also had received other improvements, and this is probably bigger than anything for me. Essentially, the way it was working, you guys probably see me complain about, is pets were disappearing, whether you were doing certain quests or whether you were doing boss fights or whether you went into certain areas. Well, now you'll be able to have the pets stay summoned more often. I've been playing and I've noticed that it's pretty good in terms of the way it works. So the Iron Eagle of pets has also received an important change. I think this one they could have did a little bit more on, but essentially the amount of mercury that you have to give the Iron Eagle to gain trust, it hasn't been reduced, but the amount of trust that you gain from giving it the mercury has. So it went from 5 to 15. Now, we haven't been refunded any of the mercury that we gave for trust, so this only benefits any players that haven't unlocked the Iron Eagle, which, let's be honest, I think probably everybody ran to go get that Iron Eagle immediately. But, you know, let's talk about it. So we'll have to have some conversations there about whether or not that, you know, was terrible idea in terms of, since, you know, it's been almost 2 weeks, a week since that Iron Eagle got introduced. Next up, we got to big combat change. Cliff can now use muskets and shotguns. It's a pretty big addition for Cliff because he didn't have those range options. They were kind of unique to Damien and Unka. So I guess that's okay, right? But he still cannot use pistols and he still cannot use cannons. Those are respective to Damien and Unka overall. They also improved infinite arrows abyss gear, so instead of that one only working for your arrows, it now works for bullets and cannonballs, which is a good thing. So that way, you know, you have more viability in some of the range options that you have in combat class styles. I think that's really cool. I like it a lot. You know, adding firearms to Cliff's kit when, you know, most players have played the game and they've gotten Cliff built out, and you don't really want to go and play Damien or Unka because that means grinding out abyss gears to get them leveled up. Kind of a little bit different there, so it gives him some projectile builds as well. Same thing they did for Cliff. They've also given Damien and Unka some skills, so they now have a similar skill to focus aerial roll. So if you were playing with her propeller, she has a focus aerial roll for that, and Unka has a focus aerial roll as well. That helps probably make combat flow a little bit better, I suppose. I don't really use focus aerial roll that much. I haven't really noticed that, you know, it's something that's needed. Damien also had improvements to her two-handed cannon effect and her unarmed chain attacks after dodging. So overall, they just kind of did some things to kind of make it a little bit, you know, smoother, I guess, in terms of combat play. The Black Star also got some improvements. So Black Star is your major dragon. If you haven't reached that place in the story yet, you'll get there eventually. But Black Star, previously you just could ride on him and the blinding flash wasn't available, so they're making blinding flash a little bit easy to use. I still don't find it quite easy to use with mouse and keyboard as much as I do with controller. I kind of switch back and forth between the two when I'm playing, but it's fair. It's there. The improvement is. So the mounted combat and the special mounted combat, they needed strong camera controls, and the camera felt bad. So the whole system on a whole for mounted combat kind of feels terrible. Although I have noticed with the bow and arrow that the targeting seems a little bit smoother, a little bit tighter now, and I kind of like it. But we'll have to see where it goes there. So then the one of the bigger things in my opinion is that overall for the patch that makes it kind of a really big felt in patch is the reblockades being expanded. So now it can happen at bandit camps, it can happen at ruins. So it's a simple change, but it really matters because it makes the world feel a lot more living instead of stagnant. As you start to run around Pywell and you kind of clear things, everything kind of simmers down. You don't have a reason to return to areas. Now you have a reason to basically be on your toes when you go back to a specific area. Like I was running by the Witch's Wood, and I you know, the bandits had retaken that camp over there. The boss didn't respawn, but the camps did. So we'll have to see it. It's not a huge change, but I think it makes the game feel a little bit better, and you can up the ante for how you want to do that. Now, I still think that they need to take a look at boss resonance and reminiscence, so that way we have reason to go back and play those bosses. So along with this, the patch 1.8 also added some refinement for equipment, so it's a little bit easier now to just go and refine your gear. It's not as annoying to basically go in, have to select the materials that you wanted to use, then go refine, watch the animation or skip the animation. Those types of things have been smoothed out a little bit, so that should accelerate your experience with those, making maybe the idea of getting additional weapons and gear pieces leveled up not so tedious. They also changed some of the things like tree branches that you got from logging. Those are now rough tree branches. So simple, like reducing inventory clutter is a good thing. Like overall, I can't complain about that. They also added the ability for your crafting paintings and logging quarry missions. They now have improvements for timber and stones. I'm not sure if it was done in this update, but I have noticed that my gathering has increased. I haven't made the investments inside the church, so my gathering has increased. Instead of me always getting onesies and twosies from gathering things, I noticed that I'm starting to get like 3, 4, 5. Like for instance, I was going to collect red seaweed, and instead of just getting 2s or 3s and 1s from single pulls, I was getting a lot more, 5s or 7s. So it made that experience a little bit more enjoyable, because it was like, yeah, I don't have to spend the whole entire time I'm playing just gathering stuff. The contribution shop has also received some improvements as well. Fishing and food also got a few updates. Fish traps were improved so that you can actually catch fish properly. Cats can be taken while serious. They've done a number of little things. One of the bigger ones inside of here is controls have gotten a lot better, especially keyboard and mouse, because you can choose alternative binds now inside of here. And then lastly, they did a PC kind of update that's only there where photo mode has been improved, as well as sneaking in the ray trace sun and moonlight shadows overall in the game. So these are like some important little bug fixes that they've done in the game, and some UI developments. Overall, I think that they're really cool. We'll have to see where they're going. This weekly update cycle, I think, has taken everyone by surprise. I think it's not a bad thing. We've seen it with Black Desert Online. They've stayed on this cycle. The game is obviously doing really well for them. Hopefully we can continue this and have more DLC like content. I'm looking forward to that overall, to see where they go, and then if we're going to get new classes inside of the game as well to play with besides Unka and Damien. That could be really interesting as the game propels forward. But right now, the game is doing immensely well. It's a really nice open world experience to kind of just lose yourself in at the end of the day, and I'm just really enjoying every aspect of it. Thank you, Pearl Abyss. Keep at it. Until next time, guys. Peace.